Hello and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is Bob Power, and on behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you've joined us for our next live presentation from Cassiar Gold Corporation. Please note you can submit questions in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view a company's availability for one-on-one meetings through the Schedule Meetings tab found on the conference platform. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Marco Rock, President and CEO of Cassiar Gold Corporation, which trades on the OTCQX Best Market under the symbol CGLCF and on the TSXV under the symbol GLDC. Welcome, Marco.
Thanks, Bob. Pleasure to be here. And also very timely when we see the gold price just this morning heading above $2,080 US an ounce, just on the back of the Federal Reserve meeting yesterday, which I think really lays what should be a very, very good year for gold in general, gold and miners also in general, but specifically for gold mining juniors in particular, specifically like Cassiar Gold, which we've been in the bear market for 2 or 3 years, and I think this is I think the year that gold and the gold mining equity is going to shine. So very, very timely. So thank you for the introduction. So Cassiar Gold is a Canadian gold explorer focused on our flagship by the same name, the Cassiar Gold Project. I would just like to bring your attention to the disclaimer for forward-looking statements that I'll be making today. Just in terms of the 30,000-foot view, in terms of the investment highlights for Cassiar Gold, we are very blessed because we control in our flagship Cassiar Gold Project a past producing district, the entire district, several gold mines. It comes with a wealth of infrastructure. We have two mines that permits already in place, a fully owned and permitted mill, provincial highway bisecting our property access roads, paved roads, power lines, power access, water access, camp, you name it. So the replacement value of this infrastructure alone is worth multiple times our market cap. Right now, our market cap is roughly 30 million Canadian, with 5 million in the bank. And most of the numbers I'll be mentioning are Canadian, by the way, given we probably have a very good US audience here as well. In terms of that infrastructure, we have it because it's a series of brownfield projects. Obviously, that's only valuable if you have a big enough resource, and we are very blessed on that front. We also have a good resource. We have a 1.4 million ounce deposit at Taurus, at 1.14 grams per ton inferred, right at surface, open laterally and at depth, as well as internal to the pit shell. We've been expanding that very successfully since the last resource update in early 2022. As a reminder, or for the ones that don't know, since that resource, we drilled just under 40,000 meters in 117 drill holes, and we only missed mineralization in 2 out of 117 above the cutoff grade so far. So it's been a great success in the last couple of years, or actually since we took over the project. So we've been expanding mineralization on that bulk tonnage deposit around Taurus. We've also been drilling in outlying targets that have the potential to become bulk tonnage deposits like Taurus, areas like New Coast, Wings Canyon, or Taurus East, which is quite exciting. And we've also been advancing our project on the Cassiar South high-grade underground veins, where most of the historical production has come from. We have a great team to go along with this asset, really world-class team that has discovered, built, operated, and sold mines all over the world, and I'll go into some more of their profiles later in the presentation. We also have the social license to operate. We're committed to developing this project in a socially and environmentally responsible way. As I mentioned, we are very, very attractively valued. It's been a bear market for gold mining equities for the past 2 to 3 years. And unfortunately, we're no exception, but that's at the same time the opportunity, especially when you consider all the value that has been created through drilling in the last few years, which unfortunately hasn't been reflected on the share price, much on the contrary, and that's really an opportunity. Our goal as a company is really to grow this project, advance this project, and de-risk the project, and eventually selling to a major. Kind of like what Great Bear did. Great Bear ended up selling their project or get it taken over by Kinross for 1.8 billion a couple of years ago. And our goal is to try to repeat that kind of success as well. Having said that, because we have mine permits and all the infrastructure are in place, there's a potential for a near to medium term development, especially at our Cassiar South high grade veins, for which we have a mill permits and all the necessary infrastructure. So, getting into our projects, as I mentioned, we're focused on our flagship project by the same name, the Cassiar Gold Project. That's located in northern BC, close to the border, basically close to the border with between the Yukon and British Columbia. We're 100 kilometers south of the Yukon BC border. We're 200 kilometers north of the Red Chris mine, one of the most significant mine developments in British Columbia. But we also have a secondary project in southern British Columbia, close to the border with the US, called Sheep Creek. It's a project that until 1951 produced nearly 750,000 ounces at nearly 15 grams per ton. And very little work has been done there since. But because we're so much more advanced at the Cassiar Gold Project, we are 100% focused on that project. So zooming into that project, it's 100% owned. 59,000 hectares of opportunity, contiguous land package, 25 kilometers by 27 kilometers. We control an entire district that has hosted many, many mines, and it has a potential for a lot more. We have, coming from the south on the left there on the map, you can see Highway 37, provincial highway, all year road, bisecting our property in half. So north of that highway is Cassiar North, south of the highway is Cassiar South. There's no clear geological boundary, but to simplify things, because the project is so big, we just divide this in two. So Cassiar North is comprised mostly, and for now, bulk tonnage, near surface, open pitable targets, like the Taurus deposit, and the Cassiar South is comprised mostly these past producing high-grade underground veins, 3-meter wide veins on average, 10 to 20 gram per ton material, which is quite exciting. And we've also been extending that very, very successfully over the past few years. Just to give you a quick idea of the infrastructure as well as the topography, in terms of access, it really doesn't get much better than this. We have Highway 37 bisecting our property. The yellow dashed line that you see there, this is a picture looking south. This is where Highway 37 runs through. Coming off Highway 37, there's a paved road, Cassiar paved road that literally goes over towards the deposit. So what that means actually is that you can drive from anywhere in North America and get to the top of the 1.4 million ounces without ever leaving a paved road. There's very, very few projects around the world with this kind of access. You can see a picture on the bottom right there of the provincial Highway 37. We also have a 1.2 kilometer long airstrip just a few kilometers away from the Taurus deposit. So, it really doesn't get much better than this in terms of access. And you can also see the topography. Gentle rolling hills. These are not very steep and hard to operate mountains. You can see also the distances there, 5 kilometers between the Taurus deposit and the main mine, 14 portals. So it really is a tremendous advantage to work in this type of topography as opposed to those really steep mountain ranges with a lot of snowfall. So we are also very blessed on that front. Here on this slide, you can see a few more examples of the infrastructure that we benefit from. We have 17 historical portals across our project, 25 kilometers of underground workings and development already in place. It's extremely valuable. We have power lines connecting to most of those portals. We have a 300 ton per day, fully owned and permitted mill on site, which is extremely valuable. This is specifically well designed for the high grade material that we have from the underground veins. We also have core shack and several tailings facilities with capacity, and we have over 160 kilometers of property access roads that enable us to get to most of our exploration targets with no need for helicopter. That help keeps our costs low. We also have a 48-person camp, which is extremely valuable as well. So moving on from that, in addition to all that infrastructure, we also have 2 Mines Act permits. Permitting is not easy in North America in general, or in the developed countries in general. So we're very lucky we are in a safe jurisdiction, stable jurisdiction. The world is getting more complex and riskier politically, and not only politically. So we're very, very blessed. We already have 2 Mines Act permits. It takes years and years and years to typically to get this permit. So this is how much further ahead we are. So we have in the north, at Cassiar north of the Provincial Highway 37, you have in red there the Taurus Gold Mine Permit, 1.2 square kilometers mine permit covering most of the Taurus deposit in and around it. Excuse me. And then in the south, in orange, we have the Cassiar South Table Mountain Mine Permit, roughly 20 square kilometers, covering the Cassiar South high-grade veins and all the infrastructure that supports it, including the mill, tailings facilities, and the underground workings, and the power lines that connect it. We're very, very blessed on that front as well. This slide really demonstrates kind of the main plumbing system of the Cassiar district. So we have a north-south trend, which so far is 15 kilometers, but it could become bigger. 15-kilometer north-south trend. This is a long section looking west, a schematic. So to the right is Cassiar North, to the left is Cassiar South, and then as I mentioned before, on Cassiar North, it's mostly these bulk tonnage targets. You can see Taurus there, Wings Canyon, Lucky, among other targets. There's a lot of room for exploration and expansion here. And in the Cassiar South, the high-grade underground veins, which we've been extending and remain open along strike and down dip, with a lot of room for parallel and stacked veins. And the whole 15-kilometer trend is peppered with mineralization. So there's a lot of mineralization here, and there's a lot of exploration potential, which I'll demonstrate later in the presentation. Just to recap a little bit, last year we drilled 16,000 meters between the 3 main areas, Taurus deposit, outlying targets, and Cassiar South. We also did field work, which I'll go into some more detail, as well as ongoing research and development. Just as a reminder, in the last 2 years since the last resource update, we drilled just under 40,000 meters, 117 drill holes, where we missed only 2 out of 117 drill holes. So great success ratio, above cutoff grade, insignificant width. So it's really going great so far. So first of all, started zooming into the Cassiar South high-grade underground veins. You can see a map there on the right. This is just south of the highway. You can see the Highway 37 there on the corner. Very close to it, we have the mill, fully owned and permitted. And you can see in orange the mine permit, roughly 20 square kilometers. We have the portals marked there, 15 portals in this part of our property. In black, you have the underground workings, majority of the 25 kilometers of underground workings, as well as in red, the known vein systems, which are east-west, and we've been extending those very successfully in the last 3 years, along strike and down dip. When we look at the periodicity of the vein systems, actually, the periodicity suggests that every 400 to 600 meters, there's a parallel vein system, east-west trending. And just between the main mine, which is further north, and the CUSAC, which is the second vein system to the south on the map, there's a 2-kilometer gap that has the room for multiple parallel vein systems. So there's a lot of room here. And again, each of these vein systems can carry up to 150,000 ounces. So there's a lot of potential here, potentially more. And in addition to that parallel potential of having multiple of these vein systems between CUSAC and the main mine, there's also the potential of stratigraphy repetition every couple of 100 meters, at least in a main mine. We know there's at least 3 levels of mineralization, and potentially more deeper into the earth, as is very typical in these orogenic gold system, which is a type of system that we have. Also like to highlight the historical production there from the underground veins. 315,000 ounces historically produced. You can see each line corresponds to which vein system. You can see, for example, the biggest ones, the main mine, the first line, 17 grams per ton, very high grade, 150,000 ounces produced. CUSAC, almost 21 grams, 90,000 ounces produced. And again, most of these vein systems are open along strike and down dip, which we have been extending very, very successfully. You can see this map here that really showcases that, the drilling over the last 3 years, 18,000 meters of drilling. And you can see the locations on the map of the drill holes, the different drill colors, different years. And on the table on the right, you can see to the most right column, you have the grade. And just before that, to the left of it, you have the width. So we have examples like 4.8 meters at 35 grams per ton. We have 3 meters at 25 grams per ton. We have roughly 2.2 meters at 32 grams per ton, and a bunch of other high-grade intercepts of a meter or over a meter or just under a meter at 5-10 grams per ton, as well as a very interesting intercept of 237 meters at 0.69 grams per ton just on the north side of main mine, which is quite interesting in and of itself. And it could mean that we're very close to a shear vein, or there's also a potential that eventually this could become a bulk tonnage target similar to Taurus, and the width, it's definitely very exciting, is a very long intercept, and there's interesting potential there. So moving on to the next slide, you can see here this is the main vein system. If we were to start production here, this will be the first spot, the first place where we would start, just given the infrastructure and what we know. So the goal here at Cassiar South would be to build a 300 to 500,000 ounce resource inventory of high-grade material, close to the 3 gram we've seen in the past historical production. And if we could achieve that with all the infrastructure that we have in the permits, we could potentially see an up to 60,000 ounce production profile from the high-grade material that could provide a bootstrapping opportunity for the company. You can see that the main vein system, we have underground workings right there on that section. It was driven as recently in 2010, so it's in relatively good shape. And just 70 meters away from that, that's where we have that intercept of 4.8 meters at 35 grams per ton, which is quite exciting. It really demonstrates the grade, the width potential of these vein systems, which is, truly a tremendous opportunity for our shareholders. So that's Cassiar South, where we've been having a lot of success on the high grade. We also have bulk tonnage as well in our project. So we have the Taurus deposit, where we have all of the 1.4 million ounces at 1.14 grams per ton, using a cutoff grade of 0.5. This is a 43-101 compliant resource. This is pit constrained resource. You can see on the map view on the left, it's a 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer footprint for this deposit. On the cross section, you can also see this is a pit constrained resource. The bottom of the pit is 200 meters. It's very shallow. The overburden is 10 meters, so it's almost non-existent in the grand scheme of things. We also know that 90% of the 1.4 million ounces occur within 150 meters from surface. Again, very, very shallow mineralization. And more importantly, the system is open laterally and at depth, and also internal to the pit shell. When you look at these circles there in red, you can see some gaps in resource blocks, and that doesn't mean it's not mineralized. For the most part, and what we were able to find out until now is actually many of these gaps just don't have any drilling. And when we drill there, the idea is to convert what is waste in the resource into resource blocks, reducing strip ratio and expanding mineralization within the pit shell. So we actually been able to do that very, very successfully, as you'll see from the next slides as well. What you can see here on this slide as well is the mineralization style. So we have disseminated gold in the basalt. We also have these veinlet systems. You can see on the top figure on the right. These veinlet systems are very, very thin. They're in a centimeter scale, so they're very, very different from what we see, the shear veins that you see at the Cassiar South. They're also east-west trending, but they're in a centimeter scale, and they occur in swarms, so they can create corridors of 10, 20, 30 meters, where the grades can go up to 2, 3, 4, 5 grams per ton, which is quite exciting. We also have the gold in the pyrite as well. So these are kind of the main 3 mineralization vectors on the bulk tonnage material. And we have these 3 overlapping mineralization styles. This is typically when you see the highest grades as well. As I mentioned, we drilled 16,000 meters last year. This is a distribution of drilling for last year's program, for which we haven't released all the results. So do stay tuned for that. In pink, you have the Taurus deposit, the 1.4 million ounces from 2022. You can see a lot of that drilling within the pit shell of the deposit. The goal is not to infill to upgrade the resource. The goal is really to drill in these gaps where there's no drilling. And we've been hitting consistently, which is really great to see. We've also been drilling around the Taurus East area there to the east of Taurus. deposit, and also south of that, we've been drilling at the Wings Canyon also very successfully. And more recently, we just released 6 drill holes from New Coast, which is 2.5 kilometers south of the Taurus deposit and 2.5 kilometers north of that main mine intercept, where we hit, all 6 drill holes, and the highlight there was 95 meters of 0.9 grams per ton mineralization, which is great to see as well. So it looks like at New Coast there's a bulk tonnage area forming as well. So zooming into the area of Taurus, you can see this map here on the left. The pink is the resource, the 2022 resource. In blue, the drilling that we've done as an operator between 2020 and 21, and in yellow, the drilling we've done between 2022 and 2023. So in 2020 and 2021, we drilled roughly 16,000 meters, and in the next couple of years, we drilled just under 40,000 meters. You can see drilling a lot of those gaps in the resource, expanding to the south, expanding to the north. We've also been drilling a lot around Taurus East, and also around Wings Canyon very, very successfully. And again, you can see on the table on the right just the type of intercepts that we've been having. Some of our best intercepts, nice grades, nice widths, mineralization coming from surface, which is really what you want to see. So, it just really highlights the kind of success that we've been having. And the whole system remains open laterally and at depth. So we don't know how big it's going to get, but very likely it's going to get bigger. So do stay tuned for our follow-up programs as well and results. Just to give you a few kind of case in points in terms of the success we've been having around the Taurus area. So this is a cross section at Taurus. You can see the colors, the color blocks, the resource blocks. There's a black outline where they have the pit constrained resource. So if you go into the right, you can see an intercept there. In the gap, you can see the green background. There's no resource blocks. We put a drill hole there in that gap, and lo and behold, we hit 98 meters from surface at 1.28 grams per ton, really demonstrating the potential to expand within the pit shell. The drill hole there, most to the left, it's actually a step out to the south, outside of the pit shell, and we hit over 171 meters at 0.66 grams per ton, really expanding lateral mineralization, which is really great to see as well. So continuous success, both internal to the pit shell as well as laterally. In the next slide, really highlights the potential to expand at depth. So we model a high-grade chute. You can see the black line marks the resource, the pit constrained resource. You have the blocks there. You have a higher grade chute kind of plunging down. We modeled that, we targeted it, and we drilled it, and we hit 23.55 meters at 4.19 grams per ton. That really, showcased the potential of higher grades within the bulk tonnage deposit, which is really exciting and really great to see. And this intercept was 311 meters downhole, just roughly at 250 meters vertically from surface, expanding mineralization up that, and opening more areas for growth, which is really great to see. Whoops. So moving on to the next slide. So as I mentioned, a lot of success at Cassiar South on the high-grade veins, a lot of success in and around Taurus, but the potential doesn't end there. We have a lot of potential in our projects. Just a few examples on the potential on some areas near our Taurus deposit. So you can see the Taurus deposit there in yellow, the Taurus Gold Mine Act permit in red, covering in and around most of the Taurus deposit. A few examples of the priority regional targets that we have are New Coast, which I just mentioned. You can see the picture of New Coast there. Quartz veins right at surface. Is a 2 to 3 kilometer long east-west corridor that basically it seems that it could host potentially a bulk tonnage target there similar to Taurus. That's 2.5 kilometers south of Taurus. That's 2.5 kilometers north of the main mine intercept where we get 237 meters, which basically that's part of that 15-kilometer corridor that crosses part of our project, potentially all of it. So it's quite an exciting target that we'll be looking to follow up. We also have Lucky with grab samples of over 300 and 150 grams per ton. That's 4 kilometers to the northwest of Taurus on the Alpine. You can see the picture there in the middle with the geo on the outcrop. And on the picture on the right, you can see Snow Creek targets. You can see the geo very small there on the top right corner of that picture. On the bottom left, you can see the quartz veins right at surface with a lot of potential there to become another Taurus-like target. And that's also along strike from the mainlet systems that trend east-west. So there's a potential there of a connection between Snow Creek and Taurus, which will be really exciting to see, and for which we actually done some work to try to understand it. So that's why we did some field work this year. You can see the fieldwork program here in pink or salmon. We have the resource. So we did a soil grid survey of 3 square kilometers. That's the yellow dots from Taurus, the east of Taurus, all the way up to the bases of Snow Mountain to see if we can further understand the connection here. We also did an IP survey geophysics. That's roughly 10, 11 square kilometers. That's a white polygon centered around Taurus to see if we can demonstrate or give us some clues into the extent of the Taurus system, how far can they go, the connections with Snow Creek as well, or potential extensions. And we also did a 30 square kilometer mapping exercise. That's a shaded area north of the Highway 37. And this is just 5% of our land package. So there's a lot of potential here. We're just starting to scratch the surface into the potential of a very small percentage of our project, let alone the rest of it. So, we're just in the early innings of it. Just in terms of the team, we have people like Steve Levin. He ran IAMGOLD from 2010 to 2020 on our board. He's our chairman. Steve Robertson is also on our board. He's a geologist. He was in charge of permitting and development at Red Chris, the most significant recent mine development in BC, just 200 kilometers south of us. I was there actually on that open pit just last summer. We have James Maxwell on our board. He's the former exploration director for Sabina. They got acquired by B2 for over $1 billion there. We also have Chris Tour on our board. He's a mining engineer. Jill Maxwell worked for North American Palladium, got acquired for over $1 billion by Impala as well. David Rees, probably the leading global structural geologist in orogenical systems. So we are very, very blessed to have him as well. And he's a testament to our project as well. And we also have the great Doug Kerwin that led the team at Ivanhoe that several of you told. So it's a really well-rounded team. In addition to that, we have a great relationship with the community, provide training opportunities, employment opportunities. We try to hire local contractors as much as possible, support the local economy, and we also have we have the environmental monitoring, water monitoring, tailings monitoring, wildlife monitoring, as well as annual ESG and sustainability scorecards as well. Cap structure, we have 104 million shares outstanding. We've been able to build a very good institutional shareholder base in the last 3.5 years, from 0 to nearly 30%. Insider ownership is 13%. Insiders committing to every single private placement. Just recently myself, I put in $240,000 in the last placement in December. Investors should take note of that. And we also have analyst coverage and do expect more in the future. So we have roughly just under 5 million in the bank as well, so well funded as well. So in terms of catalysts, we still have 6 more drill results to release. We also need to release the results from field work, so they will be coming in the next few weeks. We might see a resource update. We're also doing geochemical and geological work as well, geological domaining. We might see a resource update in the next few months as well. And as always, in May, we'll open campaign to start a drill campaign as well. So just to recap and to wrap it up so we can go into some Q&A. We have a lot of infrastructure, mine exact permits already in place. We have an existing resource which is growing in a lot of growth potential. We have a great team. We have the social license to operate. And we're very, very attractively valued and leveraged through the gold price, which have been suffering in the last couple of years. But this year could be a really good opportunity to really take advantage of these stress valuations in the market. I certainly am. And I invite everyone to have a look. And maybe we can quickly go into questions now, if we still have some time. So, yeah, so we have a couple of questions here. Maybe I'll just reply one by one. So you have 5 million cash in the balance, cover your aspiration program for 2024. Yes, we do, and it does cover. So we're comfortable with that. Obviously, if you can see the share price significantly increase, we could potentially increase the size of our programs as well. Right now, we're looking, maybe maybe 5,000 or maybe even 10,000 meter drilling. If you can see the share price increasing, we could drill more. We could raise capital to drill more. But at these depressed valuations, it's kind of hard to dilute. So we need to strike the right balance between having moderate dilution in terms of equity ownership as well, while at the same time continue to significantly advance the project and create more news flow to get to the project to where we are. And I think I answered just 2 questions here. Second, 1, 2. And I don't know if there's any additional questions or if you have a little bit more time. If not, I don't see any more questions here. If not, for everyone that is listening, I would really invite everyone to reach out. More than happy to sit with shareholders or investors that are interested or have questions about our project. Can take you through our opportunities in more detail with a little bit more time. You can find us at www.cassiargold.com. You can find us on social media. You can also reach out at info@cassiargold.com or marco@cassiargold.com. More than happy to answer any investor inquiries and talk about a little bit more about the plans for the company.